All right. Well, every successful realtor knows it's not just about houses you sell. It's about mindset you build. Today, we're going to be diving into mental shifts and even turning the toughest markets into the greatest opportunity. Hey guys, thank you for joining us. Today we have our guest, Brad Burns. Hey Brad, how you doing today?
Good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Super excited to be able to hop on and share what things we're working on.
All right. Well, I'm sure you know I'm Sharif Atab, and with me I got.
Peter, and we're both in Jersey, as you know already. So I guess Brad, why don't you start by saying where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Brad Burns. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, born and raised. For some reason, we got this thing going on that I think y'all sent it or something. It's like 20 degrees outside today. That's not normal for us.
Stay warm, man. Stay warm.
Yeah, trying to, man. It's crazy. So I'm looking forward to next week when we get back to the 70s. So that'll be good.
Well, at least it's only 1 week, right?
Yeah. We're
So,
not
so
ready.
Brad, this is a great example. Going to transition into it. How's your mindset dealing with the cold weather, man?
So I try to make sure I remote start my car before I get out there. And I have a Toyota, so it's stupid. Like I can remote start it, and then as soon as I unlock the door, the remote start turns off. So I got to like turn it back on. But hey, just got to get out there and get it. Leave earlier, let the car warm up longer, and miss the traffic. Don't have to worry about getting stuck behind everybody.
Oh man, I mean, you guys don't even have plows down there. I mean, how do you deal with the snow? That's crazy.
But we don't. That's the thing. Like, I mean, we get some ice and we shut down. Like, we had the Snowmageddon and 90% of the Texas lost power, and that was like the greatest week of my life. We didn't lose power, so it wasn't too bad for us. But
It's great though. It's kind of like real estate though. It's kind of like, your mental mindset, right? Sometimes it's nice and it's sunny outside, and other days it's snowing. And Brad, it's really what we're talking about today. How are we dealing with that? How do we keep positive? How do we keep going forward and trying to grow our businesses?
man, I say a lot of times when I run into tough situations, I keep the mindset and I go back to like the Bible where it talks about the Israelites leaving Egypt and they were in the desert for 40 years because they like to complain all the time. So when we run into the tough spots, I'm like, man, I'm not going to complain because I can't put up with this for 40 years, man. So it's just
No.
keeping that mindset and just saying, hey, it's going to get over it. Like, it's going to be over. This is just a small blip in time. I had some previous coaches talk to me and they're like, hey, like, there's no such thing as a bad day. Only bad moments that we let carry on throughout the whole day. So we ultimately have to make the decision. Are we going to let a little bit of toughness, a little bit of hard spots ruin our whole day, and a day turns into a week turns into a month turns into a year? Are they going to be like, hey, we had a few rough minutes, but we got over that? You got to have like the memory of a goldfish.
True. I
Yeah,
mean, you brought up a lot of good topics right there. I mean, having a mentor, having like a vision out there so you know your why, and keeps, a structured plan to get to that end goal, right? And, having a mentor is clutch, I think, too, because, you have someone that's actually keeping you motivated, keeping you accountable, keeping you on the right track to where you need to get. Because a lot of days you do get beat up. And I'd be lying if I told you every day was amazing and we're crushing it every day and I'm in a positive mindset all the time. And it's not true. That's not how humans work. I mean, how do you feel about it, Peter?
I mean it's one of those things where we gotta embrace the suck, because if it was so easy, everybody would have been successful at it. And that's something that I learned very, I guess, early on. And just by anything that you do, any type of goal that you want to achieve, it's not going to be so easy. If it was so easy, then you set a very low bar for yourself. And the other part is a lot of times we get too much in our head, and we all learn this too through different coaches, where fear is just an acronym that goes to say about like what is it? False expectations appearing real, where a lot of times we get too much in our head, afraid of doing this or that, or afraid of making a phone call or a door knock, or afraid of the market changing because the rates are high or nobody's going to be buying. But these are all things that might not be true at all, but we just let it get in our head. So that's something that I learned early on too. I think Brad, you're in a similar mindset as well, right?
No, 100%. And I mean, that goes back to like just getting into real estate, kind of beginning with it is getting that mindset. I know, my friend, I think he's related to you, Scott Maloof. He talks, I don't know if you've like sat down and talked to him a long time. Like he talks in acronyms.
Yes.
And so like he talks about like fear, false evidence appearing real. And then he talks about having to make a decision. So the word side and decide means you're killing off all other options. So like homicide means kill somebody, suicide means kill yourself. And when you decide that you're going to do something, you killed off all other options and say, hey, this is what it's going to be and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And that just kind of sticks in my head. Like whatever our goal is or whatever we set out to do, if we kill off all other options, we don't have a choice but to be successful at it. But when you have a plan B and you say, hey, well, like I'm going to get into real estate and if I don't get a client, I'm going to go do this or I'm going to do that. I see a lot of times we'll have agents come in and they'll start off full time and it'll be, I mean, the beginning of real estate's rough and they'll hop in and they'll be doing Uber or DoorDash or whatever they can do to make some money to help right now. And then a lot of times if they're not with that right mindset, if they don't have that focus, they'll do those things and that'll slowly transition and they won't be a realtor anymore. They'll be an Uber driver.
It's just because part of it is just, I think they're not believing in themselves or believing that they can achieve it or not staying in it too long. I was just doing an onboarding on Friday, and this is what I like to tell everybody that's coming in as a new agent or even somebody that is just starting on the team. I tell them your first couple of years in the business is going to be, think about it like you're trying to get a train moving from the start. It's going to require so much effort and fuel to just get it going. And then after a little bit of time, it's just going to gain momentum and it's just going to keep going as long as you don't stop or push the brakes, right? And it's similar to in our business. Once you let go of that gas pedal, which is in our business, prospecting and following up and making sure that we focus on the destination, just like you're driving a train, and you're continuing to press on the gas and add fuel little by little. And the fuel could be by listening to positive things or having a coach or a mentor or a team leader that's guiding you to do it and feeding your business at the same time and not stopping that. But anytime that you let go of that gas pedal and let negative thoughts get in your head, this is when you have to start over again and it requires so much effort again. What do you think, Sharif?
I mean, it's exactly it, Peter. And you want to build a good network of like-minded individuals to keep you motivated, to kind of embrace the suck with you, because it's hard doing it alone. And it takes a team of people. You can't do it alone. And when you have people surrounding you, you tend to grow with them. That's what the goal is. I think that's clutch. And then you also brought up like the things that you're absorbing, like the different books you could be reading. You know, one of the ones that I'm going through, I know you guys both read, is 12-Week Year. And it kind of brings you back and centers you. And you're kind of taking that advice of people have done it over and over again, right? And just kind of remember there's other information out there to keep you structured, to keep you centered and keep you growing, because you ultimately you have to keep growing. If you're not growing, you're definitely dying in this business. And then everything is always changing, I promise you. So if you're sitting static for too long, most likely you're missing out on opportunities. So you just got to keep that mindset that you just got to keep going and going and having that key goal. That key reason why you're doing this is so clutch. I mean, I'm not even sure how you could even do it without it. Otherwise, you'd be running aimlessly on a hamster wheel. But to have that goal in place, it makes it all worth it. And yeah.
So one of the big kicks that I've been on recently is getting people to continually feed that mindset, read books, listen to podcasts, and like really diving in on stuff. So I had we had our sales meeting with our team the other day, and so we're doing a book club. Ninja Selling is the first book we're doing on it. Great book if you haven't read it already. And I asked them, I said, hey, like, when was the last time you were truly passionate about something? And somebody was like, I truly passionate. I got super into mountain biking. I was like, sweet. When you got into mountain biking, how many books, videos, YouTube, podcasts, blogs, all of this stuff did you feed your mind to find out all the best information about mountain biking, find out the best bike, find out the best tires, the helmets, everything you can, the trails, everything you want to know about that? How much time did you put into learning on that? And a lot of them kind of sat there and like, man, I haven't been passionate about real estate. I've kind of just been checking off the boxes, going through the motions. Like, okay, I was going to do 100 dials today or 2 open houses this week or whatever that might be. And a lot of times when we just go through those motions, we lose sight of why we're actually doing it. And in Ninja Selling, it talks about we chase, we attract, what we focus on expands. And so he was talking about when they were doing the war on cancer, that their results weren't that great. I mean, they still haven't cured cancer, but their results weren't that great. But when they switched the verbiage and switched the mindset, instead of the war on cancer, they were focusing on cancer. They switched it to race for the cure, and now they're focusing on the cure. So same thing when we go into our lead gen times, what are we looking at? Are we looking at our dials and our contacts? Or are we looking at our appointments and our contracts?
I love that.
So I feel like, so we've made that shift, and we're still tracking dials and contacts and things like that, but we're coming into it like, hey, the end in sight, the goal, the focus is an appointment and a contract. So when those are the focuses, you might, if you're calling for sell by owners or expireds or whatever that might be, you're not going to let them off the phone as easily. You're going to dig in, ask questions, and really dive in and see what you can do to help.
So true. I mean, a lot of times, especially a lot of real estate agents don't expect that to begin with. And this is why I think, you know, having a mentor or things that you talk about in the meeting, and obviously Sharif and I also, we always bring this up to our team, because if they don't expect it to happen and everything is going smooth, like I've had agents that come in and right off the bat, like they get a listing, they get a contract signed, right? And this is their first month. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome, but I just want to make sure that you're prepared.
It's not normal.
It's not normal, right? Because you don't want to set this is the expectation going forward, because otherwise they're going to be devastated. I rather them fail on their face a few times before getting that, because now they know what it takes. And then now they don't have the wrong mindset about it, right? Because this is the business that we're in. And actually, this isn't any business. Any entrepreneur is the same way. You're never going to have smooth sailing, straight run, making profits all day long without having to cross any issue.
You almost don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if everything's so easy to begin with, you're going to run into those rough patches. You're not going to know how to handle that.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I'm sure you guys know them, the Harmozis, Alex and Lila. And I think it was Lila. And they were saying that when they interview companies to partner up with, because this is what they do, they acquire companies, they want to make sure the business owner have failed at least multiple times prior to partnering up with them. And the reason is, if they haven't failed, they don't want to work with them, because they know they've learned something. And with that, they're going to be able to overcome any new challenges that are going to come across them in the future. They don't want somebody that have never failed at anything. And not just that, failing and learning something from it. With that, they were able to improve their business afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the actual saying of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? It builds the resilience, it builds the character, and you almost need it. You need the objections, you need the rejections in order for yourself to get better. It's really a circle of life. It's just the way it works out. But it's also key, and I like how you brought up, Brad, that you have a book club. We do the same thing. And it's every Friday we review it. And it just brings everyone together. And it kind of gives you, a solid ground, a common thing to actually talk about on a weekly basis so that we can keep our mindsets in check, right? So I love it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is to find like good mentorship, have a good goal set in the future, have good people around you. It all comes into play, but I think they're all definitely good, important factors you got to take in.
And just diving back in on that passion, I think, like I posted the other day, and that's when I was kind of on that big old rant with the team about getting passionate about things. Like, your production directly reflects your passion.
So true. And Brad, what got you passionate about real estate?
So first of all, like, just background on me, before real estate, I was a general manager at McDonald's. I was there for like 10 years. The organization I was with only had 3 stores or 4 stores. And I got to GM, and there was really nowhere else to grow. Like, the supervisor was there forever, and there was nowhere else to move up to. And my buddy Anthony, he was the GM before I was. He left. He got into real estate. And I was like, man, I could do real estate. And so I became GM, and I was only there GM for like a year. just because I felt like there was nowhere else to grow and there was nowhere else to look to move to. So I hopped into real estate, and I mean, the first passion about getting into real estate was like figuring out to pay the bills and like buy the baby diapers and milk and things like that. So, I mean, I've been teaching new agents a long time. And one of the things I tell them is if you have a second income, if you have a bunch of money saved up, you're at a huge disadvantage in this business because nothing makes you work harder than if I don't know how I'm going to pay the light bill next month.
I agree.
So I see a lot of agents come in and they'll have retirements, they'll have other jobs. I mean, there's successful people that have made it, started off with other careers. I know you were dual career to start off with, Peter.
Sharif too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times, majority that start off that way don't do super well in real estate because they have that crutch that I don't have to make it because I still have this check coming in. So I don't have to push through the hard things. I don't have to talk to that many people. I don't have to do those open houses. Like, it's cold outside. I don't want to go put out open house signs. And they just won't push through the hard stuff because at the end of the day, they're taken care of.
Yeah, you
So
got to get rid of all crutches.
Yeah, so I tell people, if you have a bunch of money saved up jumping into real estate, great. Go put that in a CD or something where you can't touch it for 6 months and really see what you could do.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's very rare that you see dual career agents end up succeeding, but most people have no other choice, you know? And this is something that I've also experienced. But when I started in real estate, I had a goal that was very clear, and I wanted to leave the job that I was in. And I was working towards that goal little by little, right? It wasn't easy for sure. And there was obviously a lot of things that were going through my mind. And just like everybody else, I mean, fear is something that you cannot avoid. This is human nature. I mean, it's built in us. And actually, I think it's meant for us to survive because that's how our brain functions, right? But at the same time, you think about it and like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And this is what I told myself. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to still be alive. Worst thing that can happen, I can just go find another job. But if I don't go all in, I will never find out. And the regret is worse than not finding out at the end.
No, absolutely. And that's just hop in, do what you could do. And like, it's just crazy what it could turn out to be. You talk about being scared, like everybody has that fear. I feel like if you're not scared, you're not playing big enough.
You're not growing, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not growing, you're ultimately dying in this business. And it's tough. Like, you got to keep that growth mindset on at all times and don't ever sit static and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's just embrace the suck and understand the resilience of that is what's going to make you grow. That's what you're looking for. It's like, Peter, I mean, you're an avid bodybuilder and you work out. Don't you want that pain back, that soreness? Because you know that you're growing from that sore. That's what you strive for on a daily basis, isn't it, Peter? Like, you want to feel.
Absolutely. If I don't, I'm like, I feel weird now, right? I feel like something is wrong. My body doesn't feel right, you know? And it's the same thing now that with real estate. And one of the things that I'll talk about myself personally on this that caused me to really leave my other job is just because I felt I wasn't challenged enough. It was too slow and too boring for me. The money wasn't that. It wasn't the big difference, or what wasn't the motivator for me. It's just that I wanted something to challenge me. And of course, in result, that has no ceiling and as far as income. So if you're not being challenged on a daily basis, at least for me, it's physically and mentally, then I feel like I'm dying. And I feel like that should be everybody's real mindset going into this business as well.
No, it's not a business for the lazy.
Not at all.
You always got to be challenging yourself and definitely, striving and hustling, and just getting used to that. And as you get used to it, you build up that tendency to want more. So it really, that's really what it comes down to. I think having your passion, as you brought up to Brad, having a good goal, set in front of you, knowing exactly what your why is, having a structured schedule too. I mean, owning your time, I don't think we talked about, and really understanding that that's part of it. Right. So just having all these things and a good mentor is really how it comes down to building a network around you of like-minded individuals to keep you going straight, to keep you motivated, because it gets hard. It definitely gets hard. But I can tell you there's processes and there's times, and when it really sucks, And when you're embracing change and it's really sucking, that whole sunshine, what you've been looking for, is right around the corner. So you just got to get through it and build people around you and just think about all these things and try to just push and always grow. But thank you for joining us today, guys. I don't know, guys, do you guys have anything else to add before we end it for now?
I would say just feed your mindset daily, whether that's podcasts, books, being on a team, reading information in the groups. I know you guys got the New Jersey group going on. Like, there's a bunch of great information in there. I hop in there, I learn stuff. I don't remember the name of it. I was going to ask Peter, but I saw him post there was something you could add on to your schedule that'll like factor in drive time to appointments. But yeah, that's the big thing, is realizing like you'll never know it all. And if you try to stop learning, if you try to stop growing, you're going to start dying.
And Brad, you have a podcast too. Do you want to tell the listeners what your podcast is? What's it called?
Yeah, so we have All Things San Antonio podcast, where we really just try to be the local, hyper-local, just dive into other business owners' businesses. We've had some amazing guests on there. We're going to start getting on more people, more political people, more people that are really doing things, shakers, movers in the city. And I would say if you don't have a podcast, I would start something hyper-local like that. It's important to get the clips out of there, be able to post that on social media, do that sort of thing. But look us up on YouTube, All Things San Antonio. There's some great aspects in there. It's not just San Antonio stuff you're going to get out of it, because we have business owners come on all the time. And a lot of times you're able to take nuggets from the different business owners and apply it to your business, whether that's real estate, whether it's restaurant, car business, whatever that might be. Business principles are pretty close to the same. It's just about how you apply them.
Love that. And we'll put a link to the podcast in the description below, and also Brad's social media channels if you guys want to follow him. He's always posting great clips also of his podcast. And yeah, if you have any referrals out in San Antonio, feel free to reach out to Brad.
Yeah, we'll take care of them. Appreciate it.
Thanks for
having
jumping
me
in,
on,
Brad.
guys.
See ya.
Bye, guys.